Are you a resident of Ontario, Canada? Do you have any idea of where our waste goes or could go? Please watch this video and try to reflect on whether or not you think that we should do a better job at managing our waste. Southwestern Ontario is home to 5 of Ontario's 10 largest landfills. Walker Environmental is proposing to build a new landfill because Ontario is facing a waste disposal shortage and additional disposal capacity is necessary. This landfill would be the province's 5th largest one, only 600 meters north of the Thames River near Ingersoll. It would be located in a mined-out portion of a quarry owned by Carmus Lime in the township of Zora. The town of Ingersoll has the largest community around the site with a population of almost 12,000 people. Ingersoll, located approximately 1 kilometer east of the site, became an agricultural center with a specialty in cheese production, automotive manufacturing, and agriculture. So I decided to travel there and talk to the community to understand the proposal's implications to the livelihood of local residents as well as the waste management methods encompassed in the proposal. My day started at 6:45 a.m. when I took a train to Ingersoll to meet Sheila Fleming, the president of Ingersoll District Nature Club, at 8:30 in the morning. She explained me that the proposed landfill has raised a wide number of concerns for nearby residents in the Oxford County. One of the main concerns she expressed having is water contamination. Landfills generate leachate, a toxic solution formed by the mixing of rainwater with decomposing waste. It may escape the landfill and travel through the underlying soils to eventually contaminate a community's drinking water supply. While Toronto gets its water from the Lake Ontario, residents of Ingersoll and nearby communities depend on groundwater they tap with wells. Limestone allows liquid to flow through in quick and in unpredictable ways. The nature of limestone rock is prone to fracturing, and the landfill site would be developed next to Carmus's operating quarry that could loosen the rock by the use of explosives. Locally, there are 6 municipal wells in Ingersoll supplying over 13,500 people and 1 municipal well in Beachville supplying 180 people. If the landfill leaks, it would not only put in danger the local water supply, but also the Thames River. Any pollutants to the Thames River will consequently impact Lake Erie. Another aspect of concern is the species at risk that live in the South Thames watershed, specifically the spiny soft-shelled turtle, which is endangered, being the Thames River one of the last breeding grounds in North America. Other species at risk that inhabit the South Thames watershed are the Canada warbler, the Rapid's club-tailed dragonfly, the American badger, the milk snake, as well as the rainbow and round pigtail mussels. I also had to hear from the proponent how would the landfill affect the nearby communities and how is Walker responding to such concerns. To learn the technical aspects of the proposal, I met with Becky, the community engagement manager of Walker Environmental. Becky was explaining me that Walker's criteria for choosing a site to propose the development of a landfill is based on whether a site is industrial already as opposed to disturbing pristine ecosystems.
Okay, so here's the liner in case you're looking for it. I'm sure you might have seen that. So the first liner, this is the first liner basically, okay. And then this is the second liner, and then this is the attenuation layer. So this is the waste on top. This is a perforated pipe.
Okay. They also look at whether there will be a population to work so that the landfill would also bring jobs to local people. Another benefit of this site is that the highway is already closed and the whole road is already built and designated. Becky was also explaining to me how the landfill liner works to prevent leachate from leaking. She said this landfill would be the top of the line. It is as expensive as it can go. Becky was also explaining to me that in the case of leachate leakage, the water would flow inwards instead of outwards, so there would be little risk to groundwater contamination.
So it's the same as it would be as if you had a glass, an empty glass, and you submerged it underwater. In this scenario, if you poked a hole in it, the water would flow in, not out. So this way, when the water flows in, we could just treat it like regular leachate.
So I just came from my meeting at Walker Environmental, and I'm gonna meet another community member now in about 10 minutes. So at Walker, they were really nice to me. They were very open. They try to explain me all the complexities and the technical terms into more basic explanations, so to say, but it's still very hard to understand all the aspects of the landfills. So hopefully I'll have more times to ask more questions in my other meetings today and try to understand a little better what is going on here at Ingersoll. But Suzanne Krellin, the president of Oxford Environmental Action Committee, wasn't that convinced about the liner's efficiency.
It's going to break down. So we're concerned about people that are living here now, but also people that are going to be living in this area in the future. And so one of our sources for information is Environment Canada. And we found a report that says that it's now accepted that all landfills will eventually release leachate to the surrounding environment. And therefore, all landfills will have some impact on the water quality of the local ecosystem. So this is our federal government telling us that landfills are going to leak, liners are going to leak, and it is going to impact the water. And so we need at this point the provincial government to step up, recognize this, which they've also echoed in some of their own documentation, and say no to this project and say no to any project like this around Ontario. And we believe that we have to do better about managing garbage at every level, household, municipal, provincial, so that no other communities in the future have to face what we're facing right now.
I then met with James Howard, who has a master's from Laurier University in applied politics. His thesis was on environmental group success and environmental assessments in Ontario and how communities influence public policy outcomes. One of the concerns James was telling me about was the impact Aboriginal communities would have if the development of the landfill goes forward. Some of the Aboriginal communities identified as being potentially affected by the site were the Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, Munsee Delaware First Nation, and the Oneida Nation of the Thames. He was also explaining to me that municipalities across Canada have the right to choose if they want to be hosts to lottery and gaming corporations like casinos, etc. Therefore, municipalities should have the right to decide whether or not they want to be hosts for landfills. After meeting James, I felt that of course I had to go to see this landfill with my own eyes. Tim Loveson, a community member, kindly took me closer to the site. He showed me where the Quarry Lake was, a man-made lake that flooded a few years ago, sinking a large portion of machinery. Walker Environmental asserts that there is no life in the lake, whereas community residents assure there are fish and other wildlife because it is connected to the Thames River. The proposed landfill would hold 850,000 tons per year of solid non-hazardous waste generated in Ontario, with an additional requirement for daily cover material. This volume translates into 178 truck trips per day. The estimated total waste volume is about 17 million cubic meters, and the landfill is expected to be active for at least 20 years. Then I met with Mike Farlow, member of the Community Liaison Committee, which is hired by Walker. And this was one of his main complaints about the proposal.
I guess part of the concern of the community, too, is that for a pit to be developed, they have to sign a rehabilitation plan. That's part of what they agree with the government and what the community looks at to or not stop a pit from coming in. And there are many communities that do their rehabilitation plans of a quarry lake as this beautiful open to the public swimming area. It's quite common that that's what happens with them, and but instead we're not getting a lake. They're taking this lake and we're not getting it developed into a swimming area or something that's a net gain to the community. We're getting a dump put beside it, and that violates the agreement that's been made. And so that's part of our concern as well, is that our kids and future generations are being robbed of not only the water we drink, but a recreation area that would be a tremendous boon to the area. So it has a huge negative impact on the economy.
So I've met 6 people today already. You can see my face, it's a little tired. But it's been really, really productive because I've been able to learn more about the complexities of this issue and what the community has to say about it. So I have one more meeting to go. Really excited to see what other questions I can ask.
When Walker was asked a direct question.
My final meeting was with Brian Smith, president of Opal Alliance, an association created by community residents to stop the dump. Brian was the one that made my trip to Ingersoll worth it and productive by introducing me to all the other community residents and arranging most of the interview times. Brian told me several community-based initiatives have been formed since the announcement of the landfill proposal in addition to Opal Alliance. For example, the Zero Waste Oxford, Oxford Environmental Action Committee, Oxford Coalition for Social Justice, Oxford Green Watch, Ingersoll District Nature Club, Transition to Less Waste, and iCode, Independent Citizens Opposed to the Dump. Opal has been very active in fostering people to learn about the right to petition the government to change laws. It believes in the right of a community to determine its future and have the right of approval or rejection of a project. As a result of Opal efforts, 8 of the 5 municipalities in Oxford County have already voted in favor of the motion to protect the Thames River. An inspiring example that opponents of the landfill often cite is the successful disapproval of the Adams Lake Mine project in the mid-1990s. In the case of the Southwestern Landfill Proposal, community efforts have already led to a delay in the environmental assessment process. In sum, the Southwestern Landfill Proposal has been a cause of long disputes. There are several concerns associated with this proposal. However, the aspects constitute the cumulative effects of the landfill, which are currently being addressed in the technical work plans of Walker Environmental. Yet most residents don't think that the quarry is an adequate site to build a landfill. Opponents believe that the time and cost to approve this project would be better spent finding ways to reduce waste. But if the environmental assessment process is approved, the landfill construction process would start in 2022.